Hi, in this particular playlist we're going to be looking at solving inequalities using a number line. Should be fairly straightforward, they're okay, they're aimed at round about grade 4 of GCSE maths. I hope it's useful to you. Please do stop the video, have a go at each of the questions, then compare your solutions. I'll look forward to seeing you inside the video. Hi, in this particular video we're going to be looking at solving inequalities using a number line, and really it's just a case sometimes of actually just reading them through. So it says with the inequality, right, now the way I'm going to read it is that n is greater than minus 3 and n is less than or equal to 2. So that's how I would read that particular phrase. I would start from the n at the beginning. Then it says n is an integer, which just basically means it's a whole number. Okay, so we've got a bunch of whole numbers that are greater than minus 3 and less than or equal to 2. So if they're greater than minus 3, it's going to be minus 2, and then minus 1, 0, 1. Now, in this particular case, it's including 2. Okay, so hopefully that's all right with you. Sometimes with these inequalities, it is really just the way that we read them. Okay, so then number 2, it says an inequality is shown on a number line. Write down the inequality. I appreciate on the video you can't particularly see that arrow too well, so just bold that up a little bit. But what we're saying is that the values of x, because this number line comes along here as the values of x, it's going to be greater than minus 2. And the convention is that when the circle is filled in, it means it also includes the value of minus 2. So we can write that as x is greater than or equal to minus 2, and that would be the answer to that particular question. Okay, number 3 then. So have a look at where x is an integer. So again, another word that just means whole number. So x is a whole number and it's between minus 2 and 4. So I'm going to read it in the same way as I did with the first one, that x is greater than minus 2 and x is less than or equal to 4. Write down all the possible values of x. Okay, so x can be greater than minus 2, so it could be minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and again it includes 4, so it's very, very similar to question number 1 in this particular case. Okay, let's move on then to question number 4. An inequality is shown on a number line. Write down the inequality. Okay, so if you remember, this means that it includes, which also means this doesn't include. So let's just write this down. Now what I'm going to do is again read it from kind of x in the middle and then out. Okay, you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to say that x, now in this particular case, x is less than positive 4. So x is less than 4. It doesn't include 4, it's less than 4. However, it does include minus 2. So x is greater than or equal to minus 2. Okay, so the way I tend to do it is I tend to read it from the middle outwards. I just find it personally a little bit easier to do that. Okay, number 5, an inequality is shown on a number line. Write down the inequality. Well, in this particular case, we've got inequalities that don't include the two numbers. It's going to be very similar to that, where we're going to say that x is less than positive 4. It's also x is greater than minus 4, but with both of those numbers it doesn't include them because the circles have not been filled in. Okay, let's have a look then at question number 6. Okay, question number 6. This is a bit of a hybrid between the two. It's very similar to question number 4, where what we're saying is the value of x, well, it includes minus 5, so it's greater than or including minus 5, and it is less than 1. doesn't include 1. Okay, hopefully that's okay for you. Right, let's move on then to question number 7. If you do want to, please stop the video, have a go at each of these questions, and then compare your solutions. You can also go through to my website, which is 3minutemaths.co.uk, and you can download all of these questions and have a go at them without looking at the video. Would also be really good as well. It gives you plenty of practice on these. So an inequality is shown on a number line. Write down the inequality again. Sorry about these kind of arrows over there. Okay, but what we're saying is the value of x is less than 4, and it doesn't include 4, so we write that as x is less than 4. Okay, let's have a look at number 8. So number 8 just takes it up a slight notch, but really all we've got there is just the ability to kind of make x less than or equal to. Now, if I take 3 away from both sides, what I end up with is x is less than or equal to 2, because this, if I take it over to the other side by minusing 3, 5 minus 3 is going to be 2. Okay, so x is less than or equal to 2. And if you remember, we need a filled in circle on the 2, okay, and it is less than. So it could be any value that is less than 2. Okay, hopefully that's all right for you. Let's see if we can apply a similar sort of principle with question number 9. Okay, question number 9. Now, the problem we've got here, and it is quite a lot with a lot of sort of algebra that we come across, is you've got this horrible minus 2x here. Well, minus 2x is going to be very difficult to deal with. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it positive 2x. And the way we do that is we add 2x to both sides. Okay, if we add 2x this side, we lose it, which is great. We kind of cancel it out, and that works very well. So on the left-hand side, I've now got 2x plus 6 is greater than 20. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to get rid of the 6, and guess what? I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to minus 6 from both sides. If I minus 6, I get 2x is greater than 14, okay? And then I just need to divide through by 2. So what I get then, if I just put a little arrow up here, that x is greater than 7. And that's the answer to this particular question. So you are solving it in a very similar way to solving using linear equations. Okay, and number 10 really isn't that much different, but hopefully you might recognize that it's going to end up as some sort of fraction, because the numbers have got, well, you've got a minus 10 when we expand this out here, and you got 4 and minus 10, 8 and minus 10. Let's expand it and let's see what happens. Okay, so 2 times 4n is going to be 8n. Minus 10 is greater than or equal to 20. Okay, well, again, we've got that minus 10 we've got to get rid of. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. If I add 10 to both sides, that's fine, because that one goes, and I get 8n is greater than or equal to 20, plus 10 is going to be 30. Okay, and then as I would before, I just need to divide through by 8. Okay, so I'm just going to move this along here to the other side. If I divide both sides by 8, okay, I'm going to get n, which is what I want, is greater than or equal to 30 over 8. Okay, which is not a great fraction. What you could do with that is you could say, well, it's greater than or equal to 15 over 4. Or if you prefer, you might prefer to write that as 3.75 as a decimal. That's perfectly fine. Doesn't really make a lot of difference. So 15 over 4 or 3.75 is fine. Okay, let's have a look at the final example then, which is question number 11. Question number 11, x is an integer. That word again, it just means a whole number. X is a whole number, so that 3 times x is greater than minus 15, and 3 times x is less than 7. So in other words, what we need to do is find values of x. So if we divide the whole thing through by 3, I'm going to get minus 5 is less than x, which is less than 7 over 3. Okay, now that doesn't seem quite right. Okay, so we just need to change it through a little bit. All right, so I've got minus 5 is less than x. Okay, so 7 divided by 3. Well, as I'm sure you appreciate, 2 3s are 6. And then I've got a third left over. So I can write that down as 2 and a third if I wanted to, or 2.3 recurring. Perfectly fine, not a problem at all, because what we're interested in is, importantly, the integer values. So even though x is less than 2 and 1/3, we're not actually going to include 2 and 1/3 when we write down our values. So the values, or the possible values, are going to be x is greater than minus 5 but doesn't include it. So I've got minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, and its x is less than 2 and 1/3, but it must also potentially have a value of 2. Okay, that's it. We're finished on that one. I hope that's been useful for you. Please do add a comment below if you're not sure about anything. Please also subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll look forward to seeing you inside the next video.